what even brought me into wellness was, just having all of these issues with my body and pain, suffering from pain from a very, very young age, and wanting to figure out like where does that come from. And so there's been a lot of forgiveness work, a lot of releasing and letting go, and a lot of having a morning routine.
The Move Forward Everyday podcast, we all get 24 hours in a day to have freedom, to experience joy. What is important to you? Who are you? And what makes you happy? Hi, everyone. I'm MaryRuth Guillaume, the founder and CEO of MaryRuth Organics, and this is the Move Forward Everyday podcast. Today, I am so thrilled to share a pretty much lifelong friend that I've had at least for the last 15 years. Her name is Fatima. She is an incredible wellness practitioner, health coach, and I have truly learned so much in my time from her. She goes under the umbrella of my very special mentors that I've been so blessed to work with and learn from. She is an amazing wife, a business owner, and an incredible mother to a beautiful 10-year-old daughter, Tennessee. And so first and foremost, before we get into morning and nighttime routines, I just would like to welcome Fatima to the podcast. Fatima, please share with us anything you want us to know about you, your life, anything that's on your heart.
First of all, let me just say, I've never heard anybody describe me like that. So thank you. Because now, I'm sitting a little bit taller now. So thank you because of that. I'm originally a Jersey girl.
Me too.
I know, Jersey in the house. I've lived in LA though for longer than I've ever lived anywhere. And what originally brought me to LA, it had nothing to do with the work that I eventually was called to. But I'm here and I love it. And this is where I meet my family. This is where I met my husband. This is where I met you. Yes. And so I'm just really happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. So something that most people who listen to the podcast know is every guest we have on, we always go through the morning and nighttime routine. So we would like to hear from you. It can be a longer version, a hybrid version, but what have you found over the years? Like, did you start with no morning routine? Then did you say, you know what, I'm going to have a little morning routine as you started learning about more of these wellness tools? And what does your wellness routine, morning routine look like currently, like in this month of 2025?
In this month of 2025, my morning routine, it's interesting because over the last maybe 5 or 6 years, I naturally just wake up at 4:45, 5 a.m.
I remember this about you. It's
remember
impressive.
That? Yeah, with like no alarm clock. And so that's like, I call it my golden time. It's such a golden moment because everybody in the house is sleeping and I get to really sit with myself and think over my day, breathe, thank my body for being my body, say my prayers. I do this ritual called 5-5-5-5, which is 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of prayer, 5 minutes of journaling, and 5 minutes of thanking my body organs.
I need to do the thanking each of your individual body organs or your body. I absolutely want to add that in.
Oh my goodness, it's great. So I don't even get out, at that point, I don't even get out of the bed. What I do is I'm lying in the bed and I put my hand over my heart and I put my hand over my belly and I just go from my feet all the way up, and whatever comes to mind, I'm like, thank you today. Thank you, kidneys. Thank you, heart. Thank you, gallbladder. Thank you, liver. Liver, I love you. I'm constantly telling my liver that I love it.
Yes.
My kidneys, like, be free, don't be afraid, be courageous, because the kidneys hold that energy
of fear. Yes.
And over the years, I've always, until today, I would struggle with periods of fear, like intense emotionally.
I think a lot of women do as well. That's why they have a lot of urinary issues or kidney issues.
Really?
Well, I think because you said the fear thing and then autoimmune stuff and women's health. So
so what even brought me into wellness was, just having all of these issues with my body and pain, suffering from pain from a very, very young age, and wanting to figure out like where does that come from. And so there's been a lot of forgiveness work, a lot of releasing and letting go, and a lot of having a morning routine, giving myself the spaciousness to just be with myself and to allow myself to come to.
Yes.
And so it's a sweet, sweet time. And then another part of my morning routine that has happened since I became a parent, and especially since I've become a parent of a tween. This has changed since, when she was a baby, it was different. But now that she's 10 years old, there's this routine where I go into her room, I lay in the bed with her, and I just talk to her until she wakes up.
That's so nice.
We talk.
That's very powerful.
And I rub her.
Also, I'm sure her subconscious is hearing words or whatever you're saying.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so. And then it turns into a tickle party, and I'm like, okay, we're late. Come on, we gotta go. We gotta get ready to go. Yeah, yeah.
I have to touch on two things that you just mentioned. So the first one, I want to just go back to, we've heard, I'm sure many, many people listening have heard people say, okay, they do a meditation, journaling, breath work, prayer. The very first guest we had on, Eric, he was talking about the power of prayer. But I want to come back and highlight on this episode the last part that you said for your morning routine, because I haven't really ever touched on that in any of the all staff meetings or talking about health and wellness, this idea of thanking your body, which is interesting because I always talk about gratitude and gratitude frequency, and how gratitude frequency creates a robust immune response and makes you want to share more with other people and helps you easier doing the things on your to-do list. But actually thanking your body, I think is incredible. I know that I have Lyme's disease,
right?
And I also suffer from a host of ailments from the Lyme's disease. And I think that would be something throughout all these episodes of the podcast that I would actually now, I have a pretty locked in morning routine, but I think that will help me so much because think about this, your body has been with you through all 41 years,
41 years,
all the babies,
relationships, ups and downs, heartbreaks, loss, gains, and then losses again, and then regaining, you know what I mean? And your body's been there with you through the whole thing, and you're still here. You're still here.
That's so powerful.
Even though you're still here with the caveat of, there's Lyme's disease, or in my case, the caveat of, there's this pre-existing kidney thing. I thank my kidneys. For making me aware that I need to not be in an energy and a spirit of fear so much.
I really feel like I needed to hear this. I think one of the biggest fears that I have, and I haven't had the opportunity to share this on the podcast because it hasn't really come up, but if someone said, MaryRuth, what are some of your fears? And two at the top, would be, God forbid, if something were to ever happen to any of my kids. And I think that goes back to just losing my young brother at a young age. So it's something I really work through. Yeah. And then also in this beautiful life that I have, I sometimes get nervous. Do I have the stamina? Can my body handle
I do the same thing.
Each 24-hour day? Do I have the endurance? Can I do it? Is my body going to shut down? Oh my goodness, am I going to get sick? I have something important. And I know all of us know this who are caregivers. So even if it's not to our children, but to elderly, our friends, our pets, we've all had that moment when we're very overwhelmed, and then all of a sudden we're getting a sore throat. You know that feeling when it's already,
Yep.
So I just wanted to call out first, I love this idea of gratitude for the physical body. And then the second thing you said, I wanted to call out because I read an article recently and you touched on it. You said the word forgiveness. So I wanted to say here on the podcast that last week, a couple days ago, I read something, and I'm sure you've heard a version of this, where it said a person's mental health, one of the determining factors is, can they forgive people easily? If they're able to go through a process of forgiving and letting go on the quicker side, knowing that it's usually not personal, other people are on their own soul's journey, then their mental health is really good. If you're able to forgive quickly.
Yeah. And it's like a muscle. It's like a muscle. So maybe just starting out, you don't really want to forgive as easily, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And the more you do it, the quicker you can return to your center.
So amazing.
And return to your space, your I call it your grace space, where there's not a lot of heaviness. You know what I mean? Like and it takes work. Because oftentimes what happens is we don't want to forgive because we think we're letting the other person off the hook. When in fact, you're freeing up your emotional bandwidth and your heart's ability to receive more good and more love.
I think where a lot of dialogue is going to start going in health and wellness and mental health in the next 5 to 10 years, kind of like how we start to see in the supplement world, like glutathione and creatine and NAD and methylene blue, there's stuff that starts trending.
Yeah.
So what I think we're going to see more in the next 5 to 10 years is people saying things like, I care about emotionally regulating myself. I care about my nervous system. Like you said, returning to center, which for you is this grace space. Like if something happens and you get pulled to the left or to the right, how quickly can you bounce back and how quickly can someone forgive or be resilient? I think that that's important for all the listeners. I want to highlight that I do think a big part of living a very joyous, peaceful, healthy life is, like you said, if there's a center and an event or a person or someone says something happens, pulls us too much to the right, too much to the left, how quickly can we return back,
to center?
Forgive?
And this is not just for other people, for yourself. My work in wellness and health coaching, oftentimes I find that there are people, and this is a trend where folks are very, very hard on themselves for not being a smaller size or not being perfect with their agenda, their food agenda, or not rising to the occasion of what they thought their workout routine should be. And they're just hard on themselves.
Brutal.
And I'm like, give yourself some grace. You're doing the best that you can, and your best changes from day to day. If you have a cold, if you have a cold, your best is going to be different than the day where you just came from a 7-day retreat sitting in the oxygen chamber in the far infrared sauna every single day. It's going to be a lot different. For women, your best is changes. For women who are cycling, your best is going to be different than when you're not on your cycle.
For me, it's day 15.
Yeah.
Day 15. Everything's great.
Exactly.
10 days later, my face is breaking out in it.
Exactly. And for me, it used to be, and now I'm actually in my queen age years. I don't know if you knew that now.
No, it's great because
I'm not cycling anymore.
We get so many questions. One of the top 5 questions of all time is like menopause. What supplements do you guys have for women plus 40? Yeah. So I feel like that's another big theme is people want to know more about
and things
menopause.
Change. Yeah. Things change. And it's like, you know what? Yeah. You don't have the 23-year-old body anymore. And that's okay. Forgive the fact that your body is changing. And guess what? It's like, I think about when kids are in their tween years. So when kids are babies, they're so cute and cuddly. And then when they're toddlers, they're still cute and cuddly. Yeah. And then something happens around 10 through 13 where it's they don't look as cute anymore. They're still cute from when they were little, but they're not as cute, right?
Braces.
Exactly. They go through that awkward stage.
Puberty.
I think for women, I came to this conclusion the other day. I was like, for women, just like kids go through the tween awkward stage, when you're going through the hormonal changes of perimenopause and menopause, that's an awkward stage because your body is doing something way different than it used to do. But then eventually you find your rhythm, you find your nutritional plan that works for you. You find the exercises that work for you, because what used to work for you when you were 20 isn't going to work for you anymore when you're 50. And eventually you turn back into the graceful, beautiful, amazing swan again.
Honestly, I think you're touching on something that I always hope people think about for their own lives, which is it's always going to change.
Yeah.
But just keep inching forward and don't let, like you said, I thought my routine was going to be like this and then it wasn't.
Move forward every day.
It's my favorite thing, even if we're just inching along, to kind of be okay, so all right, yesterday was this and now today is this and now I'm finally feeling better.
Yeah.
So would you say I always think like the nighttime routine links into the morning routine. So when you were sharing how you were naturally getting up, you said like 4:30, right? You said 4:30?
Like 4:45.
Yeah, 4:45,
yeah,
5.
5 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to bed around 9? And then what does the nighttime routine look like?
Okay.
What time are you going to bed that you're naturally, I'm so curious because I wake up at like 5:30, 5:45. But I mean, I'm going to bed at like 10:10, you know?
Okay.
So
I go to bed at 9:30.
Amazing.
Like by 9:30,
amazing.
it needs to be like lights out. By 8:30, it's like
winding down.
Everybody better be quiet and let's get this show on the road because the gremlin is coming out. And my whole personality changes. Like 8:31, she's different.
Yeah.
She's weird. My husband's like, okay, Mom, we gotta
lower the lights.
Lower the lights.
That's what I like to do.
Lower the lights. And usually in the evening, like around 8:30,
me too.
Tennessee. So our bedtime routine is, I'll sit with her until she falls asleep. And we have this thing. It's so fun that we do. We call it nighttime karaoke.
Oh, this sounds great.
It's crazy.
This sounds amazing.
It's insane. It's insane because it's really loud. We're just like really going for it.
You love singing.
I love singing.
Yeah.
I love singing. And so we turn on music and it's always a karaoke version of a song. And
I got to do
I'm
this.
like, okay, you got 2 songs and I have 2 songs. And so she'll choose her 2 songs and she's singing and I choose my 2 songs and I'm singing.
You have a little karaoke box or like a little...
No. It's just, I find a YouTube karaoke channel.
Okay. I want to do this with my kids, but
it's so
there's
fun.
4, I'm going to do 1 song each.
Yeah.
You guys get 2.
No. Don't give them 2
and she gets 2. That's 4. And I'm not going to take a song and give all the kids 1 song.
Don't give them 2 songs. But yeah, we do the 2 songs. She does her 2 and then I do my 2.
That's so fun.
And we sing and we're just really going for it. And then I'll sit with her and I'll rub her back. And sometimes we'll listen to stories. Right now we're listening to Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret. Yeah, and so we listen to books as we're going to sleep, and she goes to sleep really quickly when she's listening to a book. And I think it's reminiscent of when I used to read to her at night. 100%. So that's my nighttime routine with her. So that's like nighttime routine 1.0. And then nighttime 100%. Routine 2.0 is once she's asleep.
What time do you start that one again? You said like
we start winding it down around 8 and by 8:30 we got to be in the bed.
That makes sense for her age.
Yeah. Totally. If we're going to have nighttime karaoke, we got to be in bed early. Otherwise we miss it. Yeah. And she doesn't like to miss it at all. At all. And so that's part 1. And then part 2 is I'll go and warm up some chamomile lavender tea. That's like my favorite nighttime thing to do.
I haven't had the chamomile lavender, but I swear
it's so good.
I do just chamomile every single night. And I'm obsessed with it.
See, I can't just do plain chamomile.
But I need to try chamomile lavender because I think it might sleep even better.
It's so good. I do the chamomile lavender tea and I'll have one a melatonin with it.
That's great.
And I just write down like as many things that I can think of, like what went well today and how can I sharpen the iron. And then I go to sleep.
Our routine is almost identical.
Is it really?
By the way. I'm just saying, it's like children. Then when they're sleeping, then I hit all the lights because I eat dinner with them at 6.
Right. Same.
6. They already got a bath at 5:30. My kids are still a little bit young. I can get away with it. Like 5:30.
What time do they go to bed?
They go to bed at 7. But my two older boys are about to be like more like 8 o'clock. I mean, I'm really pushing them.
Okay.
They're 7 and 8.
You're pushing them towards 8 or you're pushing them to stay in the 7 o'clock range?
They want to stay till 8. I know they're about to be more like Tennessee.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to be able to stay up till 8.
Got it.
Still holding on to the little last parts of it's okay, just chill in your room and then turn off your light. So dinner, I eat with them. So I'm always done eating by 7. I don't know if it's similar with you that you're eating with Tennessee. Yeah. That really helps me
Oftentimes I'll try to eat before her and then have her eat and I'll just sit with her while she eats.
So nice.
Just because of I like to have a longer fasting window until the time that
it's really so good.
Have food.
Sleep so much better. I want to call that out on the podcast as well for people who might be struggling with poor quality sleep, insomnia, or just feeling like their sleep is not deep, I do want to say if you can stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed, it's going to help.
It's going to help so much.
I really got to a place,
especially menopausal women like this. If you can implement that as well as that fasting window until you have food, because your longest fast is when you're sleeping anyway. So it's like, take advantage of that.
It's so amazing.
I
do want to say that that's a big thing. And I want to say something socially. I got to a place where, and look, your friends and your family who really care about you will understand, where I just tell people, I'd love to go to dinner with you. That sounds amazing. But I just tell them ahead of time. My friend's brother opened up a restaurant last Saturday. Think about the pressure. They just opened the restaurant. It's day 2 of the restaurant. And I really went in with so much humility and grace. And I went up to my friend's sister and I said, I went through a 2-year divorce and I didn't sleep for 2 years of finally sleeping again. I said, so from the bottom of my heart, I want to try this food so badly. Please, I hope you don't take any offense, but I'm here, but I'm not going to eat anything. Because I just really don't want to, I need that recovery. I just got out of, trying to figure out how to sleep again. And so want to just acknowledge that to people listening. It's okay. Like, I don't think it'll always be like that for me, but people do care if you take a moment to just explain like what's going on. You should never feel pressure.
Well, and the vulnerability is so special and so
actually
sweet.
we became
just
so
being
close.
Transparent.
Then she said she wanted to sit next to me,
right? Because she can relate. She probably found something that she could relate to. No, and that's one of the things I love about you, Mary. Like you have an honesty and a transparency and a vulnerability that is just really, really impressive, if I must say so myself, because it gives other people permission to like let their guard down and just be like,
we had the best time. Yeah. And then she told me, ironically, that the night before she was so excited at the opening of the restaurant that she had too much wine. So she's like, I'm not drinking any wine tonight because I got way too excited at the party last night. Yeah. So it was just like we were very bonded at that moment, and I had the best time. And so what I'm thinking is like, what's beautiful about your nighttime routine, which is very similar to mine, which is that's very simple. Not a lot's happening. We're tucking in our children. We're turning same thing, 8:30. By 8:30, I want my face washed. I want the lights a little lower. If I'm not going out that night and I want my chamomile tea, I'm going to have to try lavender. I put a little monk fruit in mine. And I definitely steep it so I like put the little lid on. But that has helped so much. So everyone try chamomile lavender tea or chamomile tea.
It's so good.
It is truly like an herb and it really does work.
Yep.
So the second part of just like the podcast and talking together is when you look back at being a wellness coach and having your business and you've helped thousands and thousands of people and you still do today.
Yeah.
What would you like to share with us about like anything with routines, different tools, just what comes to mind just in that journey of working with so many people? Just like one thing or one story or a tough time you went through that you overcame or you had a client who went through something, but they made it out the other end. Just like anything that you think would be valuable.
I think a valuable tool or a valuable thing to be reminded of, and I have to remind myself of this often is, especially if you are a caregiver or you are a nurturer or you are a healer or someone in the wellness space or just a friend or a family member being supportive of someone that you love, fill your cup first.
Yes.
You gotta fill your cup first because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And
we should just say it the entire podcast.
Just fill
45
your
minute
cup. Fill
literally,
your cup.
literally this is essential.
It's so important.
Especially if you are a recovering people pleaser or a people pleaser, that comes from having trauma that you haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
It's so important for people to have a friend, go to therapy, talk about any trauma that might be making you people pleasing because it's so hard.
Find out the thing underneath the thing. right? Because
that stops you from putting yourself first.
That stops you from putting yourself first. And I have just as recent as this morning. So this morning, I was so excited to come and talk with you. I'm going to see my friend Mary. It's going to be so great, blah, blah, blah. And for a quick second, I was like, oh, I'm just going to, I'll do my exercise later. And I heard my soul, the creator inside of me say, fill your cup first.
You do it first.
You don't. First of all, you're not going on a podcast and talking about your wellness rituals and all your stuff, and you're going to skip your walk. Like, what is that all about? Like, knock it off. Yeah. And so I took the time. I dropped my daughter off at the school bus, and I just did it. I wasn't like, and this is the thing. In order for me to make my routines, I have to just do it. I can't do a whole bunch of fancy prep. Like when I was single, when I was younger, I get really cute to go to the gym. Now I'm just like,
me
just
too.
Get out.
Sometimes my pajama top,
That's
not even
enough.
a sports bra,
that's
on
all
top,
we got.
To the jacket, to the car, back there to the walk.
Listen, baby, there have been many a braless days of just being like, I'm here
to go walk
I'm
outside
just
now.
here. Yep. And so I did that, and it was great because I was like, oh, I feel so full. And now I can share with the rest of the world. But that would be the main thing, is like, fill your cup first. And then also to be aware of the looming signs of burnout, and give yourself permission to step away and take care of you.
Honestly, yes.
Because what we don't want is to serve people and do the thing and have all the accolades and be, oh, you helped me so much, at the expense of yourself. It's not sustainable to put yourself last on a consistent basis. And so that's the one thing. It's like, my motto is love God, love you, love people. And that's actually not my motto. That's a motto that I got from a mentor, Pastor Greg of Celebration Spiritual Center. Yeah. Love God, love you, love people. And your way of loving and honoring God is honoring you and honoring the body temple that you've been giving. So treat it well. Treat it well. And then go out and serve.
No, this is so important, because why we started the podcast in the first place was making these like 30-minute, very short conversations with this whole idea that hopefully, even if you listen to this, that then just by writing something down, doing something different, just simply putting yourself first, it is really life-changing.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. KISS.
So
keep it simple, sweetie. I know people use the S as another word, but keep it simple, sweetie. Like, just keep it simple. And then over time, that compounds and compounds and compounds. And small steps, small hinges swing big doors.
It's true.
Over time.
Heavy doors too.
Yeah, heavy doors too. So you just, you build the momentum, you continue to build the muscle, you continue to build the spiritual fortitude and the resilience and the tenacity to keep showing up every single day.
You're touching on one other concept that I want to recognize on this podcast. So on another podcast, I said this quote that I read in the New York Times during COVID, and I've always been quoting this quote. And then someone wrote to me last week on social media something related to the quote, which is tying into everything you're sharing. So the quote is, some people think they need to feel good in order to get going. But in actuality, we just need to get going in order to give ourselves a chance at actually feeling good.
I'll snap my fingers on that one.
And that's really what we're kind of talking about in your example of, I know it's coming on the podcast. I have to take Tennessee to school. And like something in your head was like, well, let me just like write some notes or look at some emails and then I'll go on my walk. But then you knew, okay, no, I have to stop. I'm just going to go on the walk. Then everything else was kind of falling into chronological order. And so with this quote, the person had basically saw like a TikTok or saw an Instagram reel, sent me, oh, this is that quote you love about how like you need to just get going in order to give yourself a shot at actually feeling good. Yeah. And then they wrote something else where, and I think this concept is true, and I think you can probably relate to it. If people are going through loss or heartbreak or different challenging times, sometimes they think, well, I can't do that, or I can't go out and live because I still feel sad about this thing. And once I feel better about this thing, then I'm going to go out and start living or go to my friend's house but what this person was writing to me was that they also have found and they believe that sometimes you just have to live because living will actually heal you while you're living. So it's actually called active grieving. I think we talked about it on
is that what it's called?
It's called active grieving. I learned about it when my dad and my brother passed away.
Okay.
An incredible therapist who worked with a lot of 9/11 families.
Really?
There's a concept called active grieving, which is what I did in college after my brother died. The therapist told me, you need to go to class. You need to hand in your homework. You need to take your exams. Because he passed away in April and I went back to college like 2 weeks later. And I wanted to finish my sophomore year because I had very special friends that I wanted to so there was a debate. Should MaryRuth not go back and finish her sophomore year, take the summer off, come back and repeat her sophomore year of college after her brother's dying, and the therapist really advocated for me. She said, I want you to go back. I want you to do active grieving. This is going to expand you as a person. You're going to go to class. You're going to do your work. She's like, and then you're going to cry in the shower because in the shower in the dorms, it's like kids can't see you. Other kids don't really know what I'm going through. She's like, then you're going to get out of the shower. And when you feel like it, you're going to go to the campus cafeteria or, to the rugby game or whatever it was. And that always stuck with me. And I want to say on the podcast that, of course, there's so many ways to grieve and move forward every day, but if it resonates with whoever's listening, there comes a moment when only you know what's best for you, only you know how much you can push yourself. Yeah. But I think that was very healthy for me because to kind of keep going and do the active grieving. So what I was saying was about that quote where sometimes if you have a broken heart or you're going through a tough time or whatever it may be, like you said, putting yourself first, know the warning signs of burnout, right? Like, let's say you were going to go to your friend's house for dinner, but you just know if I just stay in, I go to bed and I will feel better tomorrow. Then you need to pull back. Like you said, like sometimes you just have to pull back. But the main takeaway of what I was trying to share is that idea of like, sometimes we just have to live, even if we are heartbroken. Yeah. And that part of living will heal us. It will. Yeah. So these are
so powerful. That's so powerful.
These are such
what a great share.
Great,
Thank you.
Kind of topics that we've gotten to speak about that we haven't spoken about before at all, which is thanking your body parts, saying thank you to everything, that I breathe, that I'm alive, that I'm healthy, that I'm strong. And I also talk about like saying these things out loud, can talk therapy, like actually just saying them, even if it's quiet, but saying it out loud. Yeah. And then like you said, from being a health coach and wellness practitioner, definitely have to put ourselves first. Yeah. The majority of the time, like you said, it's not okay when you're putting everyone else ahead of yourself consistently. You said the word on a consistent basis. That can be very damaging. And knowing for you what are the signs when we're on thin ice and pull back until we feel better again. And kind of the last thing that I would love to talk about on this episode that is something I've been looking forward to since the moment we decided that we were going to do the podcast together is Fatima is incredible. So if Ethan, Elliot, Jacob, and Grace are 8, 7, and 5, the twins are 5, my children, Fatima became a mother before me. And
you were there.
And so our friendship was before I was married, before I had children. And then I want everyone to know that my friendship with Fatima, I was there before Fatima completed the adoption process with her husband for her beautiful daughter, Tennessee. And we would chat. Yeah. We would say, is it happening? When is it happening? How is it happening? What's going on? Oh my gosh, it's a girl, right? Like we were. So please, I would love to hear.
You were there when I met her birth mom. I remember.
It was unbelievable. Yeah. Exactly. The story of hearing, okay, I met Tennessee's birth mom at the birth.
Yeah.
Basically, just even hearing about the birth of Tennessee. So can you please speak to the most important parts I would love to hear? And I know other people would love to hear this because you're an incredible role model for an incredible mother, you and Ted. Is when did you know you wanted to be a mom? When did you decide we're gonna adopt a child? And anything else just about that process? And you are an incredible mother to Tennessee. It's like, I wish Tennessee was on the podcast now with us.
We might be able to make that happen. So, okay. My husband and I, we had been married for 15 years before we became parents. And
That's
when
amazing.
when we got married, we agreed that we wanted to have children. And we also agreed that we were open to adoption. I knew from a very, very young age that I was going to adopt. But I had forgotten that. And it was only on the night that Tennessee had come home from the hospital and I took her clothes off and I laid her body on me.
Wow.
That I realized, oh my God, this was my dream. This is the dream I had when I was 8 years old. When I said, when I grow up, I'm going to adopt a little baby girl. And it happened out of the mouth of babes.
It's like your soul knew.
My soul knew. Now, as far as Ted and I, we were just living life and loving life and just enjoying ourselves. And then like 15 years in, I'm like 40 at this point. I'm like, we kind of forgot to have do we want to go half on a baby? Are we still,
so you were my age.
I was your age. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess we probably should get on that, huh? And we just never, we just never really was super conscientious about making that happen. And so we started trying and it wasn't happening. Started to see the doctors and they're like, oh, your uterus is beautiful. She's so plump and pretty and pink and blah, blah, blah. And his eggs are swimming, his sperm is swimming. Everything was fine, but we were not getting pregnant and we couldn't understand why we weren't getting pregnant. And so we were told that it was unexplained infertility, that there was no anatomical reason why we just weren't getting pregnant. And my husband said, we should try and adopt. And I'm like, I don't know. We've been through this whole process up and down. We saw doctors after doctor after doctor. And I was just emotionally drained at that point. And I'm like, I just can't take another upset or let down. And adoption is not
easy.
It's not guaranteed and it's not easy. And what if I heard all the horror stories. And he said, we should just try. Let's just try. And so we tried. I know. Go Ted. I love you, friend. And so we decided that we were going to pursue adoption. And initially we went through an agency. And the agency, we did our family profile and all the good stuff. And like 13 months passed by and we had never gotten a call. But we were doing all these classes to prepare. Wow. And
that's a long time.
You have to do like a home study.
I feel like 13 months, like if you're waiting for a baby.
Yeah. And so we were doing these different classes through that agency. And there was a class that we had to take called transracial adoption class. And I was like, why do we need to take this? Like, we're as transracial as it gets. My husband's Irish and Welsh. And then me, black girl from Jersey. Hey. I was like, we're transracial. Like, why do we need to take a transracial adoption class? And they're like, oh no, everybody has to take it because there are some things that come up when, if one parent has a child that's not the same race as them, there are certain things you need to be aware of, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, cool. And during this transracial adoption class, the woman that was giving the class was actually a colleague of my husband's. My husband is a therapist. This woman's office is right next door to my husband's office, but she was teaching in the facility. And so she's like, what are you guys doing here? Are you adopting? And he's like, what are you doing here? What are you teaching the class? And she's like, I'm adopted. I'm an adoptee and I'm an adoptive mom. And this is beautiful. This is a passion project for me and I volunteer here. So she asked us, where we were in the process. And we were like, yeah, we haven't gotten any calls or anything. And she's like, I'm going to introduce you to someone. And so she introduced us to this woman named Kara, who I call my daughter's fairy godmother.
These are all green lights. It's like, it's like along the way.
You got to follow the green lights, right? And so we met with Kara one day at a coffee shop in Santa Monica. And she just said, I'm going to tell you about the top adoption attorneys in Los Angeles. And we were like, we can't, that's like a whole college tuition payment. Oh, we just can't. No. And she's like, just give it a shot. Just go one step at a time, compounding. One moment at a time. Yeah. And so we met with a couple of attorneys, and the one attorney that we met with, he wasn't super warm and feely, but he had a very, very high success rate in terms of birth parents
he was really
staying
good
the course.
At his job. Yeah.
And he introduced us to Tennessee's first mom. I call her first mom. Sometimes
That's
I slip
beautiful.
and say birth mom, but she's really her first mom.
Oh, that's beautiful. Honestly, I love that.
Yeah.
Instead of like birth mom versus adoptive mom.
Yeah, because it's like
she's
birth mom.
Two moms.
It's
like so beautiful.
And that's our story. You know, she's like, Tennessee knows that she has two moms and two dads, and she's a very, very lucky and loved and blessed girl.
Oh my goodness.
That is the dialogue, and that has always been the dialogue. So there's never been a time.
I remember respecting that about you, where you guys were extremely positive and not territorial or making it about you. That I remember that because I was younger then.
Yeah.
When we were talking about this, I was 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember that was seared in my brain that you were inclusive and not
we didn't
trying
have
to divide.
It was super important to us that that Tennessee story was that we framed her story as positive, and that she knew that her story was a love story, and that she knew that her adoption was a choice of love, a difficult choice of love.
Honestly, I love that.
And when I shared this with her first mom, and she was just like, "You guys are incredible. Story. You guys are you don't have a problem like staying in touch?" And I said, no. I want us to be open, like because there's certain levels of openness in terms of open adoption. And for us, I was like, no, I want us to be open. Like I want her to know more than just like my birth mom's from
Arizona,
Texas,
or wherever. Yeah,
her first name is this, and she grew up this way. I wanted her to know like whatever the things are that she needed to know. And that has come in so incredibly handy as she's grown up over the years, because there's questions that she will have that I won't be able to answer for her. Specifically, more recently, I'm sorry, Tennessee, you'll see this in the future and you'll be really embarrassed, but I'm going to share the story anyway. Yeah. So she just got her first little dime-sized boob.
Yeah.
And she was like, when am I going to get boobs? When am I going to get real boobs? And I'm like, it kind of depends on when your mom got boobs. And she's like, well, you're my mom. When did you get boobs? And I said, well, no, your first mom, mama, your mom. And I called her by her name. And I said, why don't we call her and ask her when she got her boobs? Yeah. And so we called her on the phone.
No. It's so amazing because it's your openness is also teaching Tennessee how to be open with people and expand and not shrink and not be territorial and be by you not being, some people might be threatened.
That's true. I really hope so.
I feel like children become whoever they spend the most time around. And to me, like listening to this story objectively and imagining the emotions, you are not being territorial of her. You are expanding. You are not shrinking. And she's absorbing that. Like there's nothing to be threatened about. You can love. Yes. You can love multiple people, and multiple people can love you. And I think that ties into why I really wanted to hear about the adoption and share it on the podcast. Is so many things happen in life and families. A parent will die, God forbid. There will be divorce. People will remarry. There'll be multiple kids. And I think that having like blended families or unique families, expanding, not shrinking, not being territorial, and allowing people to love each other, and you being secure enough to say like, it's okay.
And I get that question all the time from other moms. They're like, don't you feel like she's gonna love her more than she loves? And I'm like, I don't feel that.
I don't think it works that way.
I want her to love her because we love her. From the very, very young age, we always would tell her, we love your mom. We love her and we want you to love her, and it's okay for you to love her. And I want you to know, I remember
this is extremely healthy.
She was about 5 years old, and I said to her, I just want you to know that you'll never hurt mom and dad's feelings.
This is so healthy.
If one day you decide, I might love Mama K more than I love my parents, because you may go through a phase where you're like, my mom sucks and she's so old. I mean, I was 45 when I had her, who knows? And I'm like, and that's okay if you feel that way, because mom and dad, we love you always, 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 always. And we want to give you permission to love your first parents too, because we love them.
What I imagine with Tennessee is when she goes throughout her life, because you are allowing her to have healthy relationships, healthy love, you're setting such an example for her that if someone comes into her world who is being controlling and territorial, she will recognize that as toxic.
She already does with her little friend. She's like, she's too territorial over me. I don't like it. And I'm like,
because your daughter, this I know for sure, Tennessee will have like a imprint. Like, my mom was not like that. Like, I do not accept this, or Ted and Fatima were not like this. My parents were not like this.
Yeah.
I feel that this is like extremely, extremely powerful. My parents were very much in love, and it's amazing. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
That
it's amazing.
You,
like,
right?
I'm just picturing Tennessee, and I wanted just to say on the podcast, and I'm sure you agree, or maybe you want to say like a closing comment about it. I hope people, if they are on the fence, should I adopt or not adopt? I after having 4 beautiful children, I am so pro. Like, if you are entertaining it, I think going for it will be like the greatest gift. I mean, what do you feel like if someone is listening to this?
It's an amazing gift. It's an amazing gift. Just parenthood in general, whether it be through someone coming through your body or through someone coming through your heart and manifesting in physical form, such as what happened with us. Parenting, it is a learning curve that is unlike anything I've ever experienced. There are growth spurts that have happened since I became a parent that I don't think I would have been able to experience
in
life had I not become a parent. Yeah. Blind spots that I've been able to see and recognize and heal as a result of you becoming a parent. If there's anybody on the fence, I would say, trust love.
Yeah.
Right? Let love have the final say. And I always think, like, what would love do in this situation? I remember when Tennessee was born. I'll keep this really, really short, but I remember when she was born, I was there during her birth, and I was helping her mom push, and I'm like, "You got it, girl. Go ahead, push." And when she came out, we were like, I wanted her to hold Tennessee first, and she wanted me to hold her first. And I said, no, you should hold her first because she's been so used to you. And she said, but she has to get used to your smell, so you should hold her first. Wow. So I held her, and then we waited for the umbilical cord to stop pulsing, and then we cut it. And then I let her hold Tennessee, and she asked me, she said, Can I breastfeed her? Can I nurse her? And I saw this look of fear on her face, like she just knew, like, I was going to say no. And the hush that came over that room, the social worker, the doctor, the staff, everybody was like, she's going to change her mind. As soon as that baby nurses, she's going to change her mind.
This is like, wow.
And I remember having this feeling inside of me that said,
wow,
what would love do?
This is like making me very
love
emotional.
Would let the baby have the freaking milk.
Yeah.
Let her have the colostrum. Let her have that first suckle. And I say, yes, you can nurse her. And I have the picture of her nursing. And in that moment while she was nursing her, there was a thought that came over me that said, even if she does change her mind, yes, we would be devastated and we would be so hurt. But if it took all of this for her to see unconditional love from Ted and I, for her birth mom to see unconditional love from Ted and I in a way that she wasn't used to, then all of it was worth it. And we'll be sad and we'll miss the baby. but it'll be worth it because that's what love does.
Because you're also letting go. It's
like
you're letting go.
Love lets go and it surrenders.
Powerful. It's unconditional. It's extremely unconditional.
And so I would just say, be open to love, and love can come to you in many different ways. It can come to you in many different ways. It may come through your body, or it may be conceived in your heart. Be open.
I think that is like the most perfect way to end the podcast. And thank you so much for being willing
you
to
so
talk,
much for letting me share,
especially about Tennessee, you, Ted, and the adoption process. I think that this is a topic that
I've never talked about it before.
Really, truly going to touch so many people. And I think people who are listening to this will also send it to their friends, because this is something that people want to know more about. So thank you
I'm so
for
open.
Everything, Fatima.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the Move Forward Everyday podcast.
It was a joy. My pleasure. I love you.
Yay, we did it.